section of the phalanges, the soldiers that were interviewed, they said that because their president, Bashar, was killed, and they were convinced that the Palestinians killed Bashar, but I don't know how they came to that conclusion, because the PLO has already evacuated, there was no resistance, so how can anyone take a big bomb into Baghdad and blow up the presidential palace? But they were told that and they believed, so they decided to come in and take revenge, you see. So it is a chapter of human history that's very painful in a true Christian sense. So in a way, my support for the Palestinians is also my repentance. I ask God, give me the rest of my life to serve the Palestinian people. So that's why now, you see, after so many years, I go through very difficult time. And if you support the Palestinians, you suffer a lot, okay? But that is what I've asked God for, and I will continue to honor it. There are quite a few kinds of wounds. Of course, it was very difficult. There were people who they put all in a house and then they just throw dynamite into it and explode. I operated a mother and a baby. Both were dynamited, you know, in a house. So that's blast injury. And there were those that were shot with automatic rifles. So that's another one. And there were people in a mortuary who were actually cut with a knife. And so it was brutal. It was very brutal. And of course, out in the camps is even worse. All right. So that is a very ugly chapter. Very, very ugly. And that's why I know that this was pre-planned. Because whoever did that know that there's no resistance. Because if you're actually going to encounter resistance, you don't have time to mutilate bodies, dig people's eyes out, that kind of thing. You don't have time to do that. You just kill and go. So this is really, really mutilation of the human body. It is, whether it is Muslim or Christian, it is a sin. We do not mutilate dead bodies like that. It's horrible. But those usually die. Okay? Mine were lucky. Like this little boy that was 11 years old, he had 27 members of his family lined up with him and they shot. And the bodies fell on him and he passed out. So he came to me with 3 gunshot wounds. But now, after so many years, he began to talk. He said that I can't even remember the pain. I can't remember the pain of my wounds. But what I can remember is the women shouting, my sisters and so on, asking the soldiers to please leave them alone. And that haunts him more than his own suffering. So it's very traumatic, the mental wound. Because this boy lived in Chatila camp for 4 years before they were able to take him out to the USA to give him a new life. And there were many who couldn't. It was the same day. It was absolutely crazy. That morning, you know, I'm talking about 15th of September, the first day of the massacre. Israeli planes flew in, shelling started, and you know, the shelling came closer and closer, and by the shelling all around, you know that the tanks are closing in on Chatila camp. And then we switch on the BBC radio. All it says, first item on the news, Princess Grace died in a car accident. And the second news is that Israel is re-invading Beirut, but actually Israel is invading Beirut because up to then they just bombed Beirut and put Beirut under siege. They're invading Beirut because 2,000 terrorists were left in Beirut and Israel has gone to get them. So we just thought there's some terrorists somewhere else, but actually it was a massacre. At the end of the massacre, you have 3,500 people killed and no terrorists being killed. So the whole world has not realized. We were in the refugee camps, our hospital administrator were calling for help. Nobody came until maybe the last. It goes like this. First, I went out in '82 in response to a Christian charity to look after the wounded. So I went, hoping to save a few people. So as a surgeon, I can operate and all that. So I saved a few people. But you know, you look at the kind of destruction. I passed a 11th floor building, bombed flat, bearing 200 bodies, like that, okay? The massacre killed so many. Therefore, as a doctor, I can't do any more. Right? I failed. I am a failed surgeon because I cannot save the people I want to save. So, what to do? I was very depressed because so many people died. Until one day I was walking among the mass grave and I saw this group of children. One of them recognized me and he said, "Oh, Chinese doctor, she's come back." They were so happy because when they saw the soldiers captured us and took us away, they thought we were killed. So they came and then he put his arms around me and he said that, "Oh," but he became an orphan. And there were children, orphan everywhere, children without home. So, and then suddenly this little girl said, "Please take a picture of us." So I took a picture. They stand up in front and I began to take the picture. And as I was focusing, not much focus, it is just little pocket camera. They put their hands up in the victory sign. "We are the children of Chatila and we are not afraid. Let the Israelis come." So I took the picture. So now, that moment, I really began to realize that depression is a luxury that I cannot afford. There were Palestinian children who need to be supported. Their stories need to be told. I cannot just go back to London and close the chapter. I have to speak up for those that have got no voice, for those whose bodies were buried, for people that are forgotten. I know the newspaper might cover the story of Sabra y Chatila for 2 days, and then it will disappear and move to somewhere else. So that story has to be told. I have to speak up for the people of the camps, and I will speak up. So when Israel formed the tribunal, you remember the background to the tribunal. 400,000 Israeli citizens have demonstrated against. It is different from Gaza today. Gaza today, 90% of Israelis say, "Go in and kill everybody." At that time in 1982, 400,000 Israeli citizens said, "No way, stop it, bring our army back. Our army is not supposed to behave like that. How dare, So, so those people we need to tell them. So that's why it is a moral duty to speak up. The Palestinians would want to speak up, but nobody gives them a platform. If someone gives me a platform to tell their story, I have to. It is a historical responsibility. And I know that Israel cannot give justice to the Palestinians. It's too much, okay? But that itself is a beginning so that the story of the Palestinians can be told. And as a friend, that time, as a doctor who couldn't help them, but as a human being, I was a witness. And the duty of a witness is to speak up. In Arabic it's very interesting because shahid can be witness, shahida can be martyr. So speaking up as a witness is as important as speaking up and dying for what you speak up for. So I begin to learn that a witness cannot keep quiet. A witness has to speak up. So since then, I've constantly spoke up for the Palestinians. I will. I might not be able to operate for them, to do operation. I've been deported from Gaza, so I can't go there and help them. But I will speak up for them. That is my human responsibility. I didn't hear the voice of Sharon, but I read his testimony later on. It is not important, but the tribunal found him, guilty of indirect responsibility, okay, and asked him to step down from being Minister of Defense. That was the conclusion of the current commission. Yeah, but of course, later on he became Prime Minister, which is more than Minister of Defense. But that is life. Yeah. It is two sides. for those who call Sharon the founding father of Israel and a hero, but also must remember that he founded his Israel on the broken lives, broken homes, and the broken bodies of the Palestinian people. I believe as a Christian that there will be judgment. So it is for God. So it is not for me. God has called me to support the Palestinian people, and I will honor that. But God will be the judge.